Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where we give you more news in less time. New tonight, police and protesters came face to face at tonight's city council meeting as pro-Palestine group took over council chambers, forcing that meeting to end abruptly. KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk shows us what happened.
Spokane City Council members retreating to a back room as pro-Palestine protesters took control of the meeting.
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
The group wants council members to reverse a resolution they passed unanimously last month, which condemned the violent acts of war perpetrated by Hamas and affirmed Israel's right to exist and defend itself. Before things got out of control, council members heard testimony from several pro-Palestine supporters during open forum.
Whatever your feelings are of Hamas, the actions of the Israeli government in response are those of a settler colonial state seizing the opportunity to justify the eradication of an indigenous population.
The resolution is racist.
Entire lineages have been wiped off the face of the earth, and still you sit silently, upholding the resolution to support Israel 100%. I am disgusted by you, I am embarrassed by you, and I am filled with shame over the fact that you refuse to feel shame for what you have done and what you have supported.
Council President Lori Kinnear ended the meeting via Zoom. Council members were not able to pass anything on tonight's agenda. One protester said the group plans to return to council chambers next Monday. In Spokane, Kyle Simchuk, KREM 2 News.
All right, now to weather. After a day full of rain, tomorrow looks pretty similar. Let's get right to Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Lagoud to find out how much more rain we'll see tomorrow. Jeremy?
Well, Mark, I think the saving grace is we don't see quite as much, but a quarter of an inch is a lot of rain no matter how you break it down. 47, things remaining quite warm and going to stay that way overnight. We're going to watch wind pick up here in the next, say, hour or so. And we're looking at wind gusts around 25 miles per hour overnight, eventually ebbing a little bit tomorrow morning. And that's all as our low makes its way in. Made landfall over on the west side a little bit earlier, bringing snow to the Cascades. Looks like snow calming's pretty good as we speak, but look at what's happening over, I would say, Lookout Pass. Starting to change over to snow, and as that low moves a little bit closer, we pull in enough cold air that I think snow is actually going to be a bit of a factor over Lookout Pass, kind of in the middle of the day tomorrow. 4th of July, I think you might see a couple of snowflakes fly, and that's about it. Here in Spokane, it looks like rain through the first half of the day, eventually tapering off and bringing about sunshine both Wednesday and Thursday. Temperatures, though, trend a little bit cooler. Tomorrow, 49. Wake up around 40, so things remain pretty steady. Wednesday, temperatures fall to near freezing to start the day, climb into the mid and low 40s. Thursday looks very similar, so things cool down as we dry out, but don't worry, more rain is in the forecast thereafter.
All right, sounds good, Jeremy. We'll check back in with you later in the broadcast. Well, here's a live look at the Kootenai County ballot cameras over in Idaho. They are not very active right now, but in less than 24 hours, you'll be able to watch as ballots get counted. And as we head into the general election, KREM 2 is committed to keeping you informed. So here are some things you should know before Election Day. By now, voters here in Washington should have gotten their ballots in the mail. All you need to do is fill it out and get it in a drop box or postmarked in the mail by 8 p.m. tomorrow night. You can find a list of drop-off locations on our website, krem.com. The deadline to register to vote online or by mail has already passed, but you can still register to vote anytime in person, even on Election Day. And among those casting their ballots this year is an untold number of formerly incarcerated people who had their right to vote restored under a recent law. That law took effect in January of 2022, automatically restoring the voting rights of people released from prison. Free the Vote Washington says more than 20,000 Washington voters had the right to vote restored. But the hard work is not over for advocates who have spent nearly 2 years raising awareness about these restored rights.
It's been slow going. This is something that for a very long time, people have not believed that they had the right to vote. When you sign pieces of paper, when you're going into prison, it's very clear that you can't vote.
Right now, there are no estimates on how many formerly incarcerated people have been registered to vote since that law passed. And with Election Day almost here, our Verify team has received several questions from KREM 2 viewers about the election process. How do you know your vote is safe all the way from the ballot box until it gets counted? Well, I went straight to the source to get you answers. How confident are you that if these steps are followed correctly, that the results of the election are accurate?
We have done so many recounts over the years that have shown that our results are accurate.
So tomorrow night on KREM 2 News at 6, we are getting a detailed tour of Spokane County's election process. See the extra steps they take to keep ballots secure. And now to our night beat with a quick look at today's top stories. A 20-year-old suspected shooter faced a Grant County judge today after a drive-by shooting that shut down roads yesterday. Sergio Igueria is facing 2 counts of assault and 1 count of drive-by shooting. Court documents show Igueria told police that a car was moving too slowly in front of him. Police say he claimed the car moved over and that his passengers flashed a handgun at him. Documents show the suspect reacted by pulling out a gun and shooting at least 2 rounds at the car. The suspect says he believed the car had gang members inside and that he acted in self-defense.
Law enforcement is working very hard to keep these from happening because they pose a risk to anybody who's not associated with the original crime. If there's people who are out around in the area and there's a shooting that happens, 1 stray bullet can strike someone and injure them or even kill them.
Police identified 2 18-year-old gunshot victims in the car. One was hit in the head and is now on life support. The other was shot in the shoulder. Well, the man accused of killing a family of 4 in Kellogg was not back in court today. The court was expected to hear arguments today to dismiss some of the charges against him. Instead, lawyers for 31-year-old Major John Kaler submitted written arguments attempting to dismiss 2 of the first-degree murder charges that he faces. He is expected to be back in court on Wednesday for a motion to suppress the suspect's alleged confession to police. His trial is scheduled to start in January. And we are working to learn more about a man who was found dead in Spokane on Saturday. According to Spokane police, the man was found dead Saturday morning in a vacant house in the area of East Lyons and North Napa Street. Major crimes detectives are investigating this as a homicide. SPD is asking anyone with information to please call Crime Check at 509-456-2233. And that was your night beat. To learn more about any of these stories, just head to our website. That's KREM.com. In other news tonight, former President Donald Trump took the stand in the civil fraud trial against him and his company. Trump clashed with prosecutors and the judge when he refused to answer questions with a simple yes or no and instead went into long speeches. The former president is accused of inflating his assets by more than $2 billion.
That by overvaluing his properties, that he was going to get a better deal from the banks or a better deal from the insurance companies. That is illegal. The normal person cannot inflate value of properties in order to get a benefit.
Trump and his sons have blamed their accounting firm for any errors. Ivanka Trump, the former president's eldest daughter, is expected to testify on Wednesday. Tonight, one of the longest strikes in Hollywood history could be nearing its final act. The actors' unions are reviewing what is said to be the last, best, and final offer from the major studios and streaming services. What's holding up the deal is the use of artificial intelligence, which is expected to change the landscape of TV over the next few years. If a deal cannot be hammered out this week, cameras may not start rolling again until after the holidays. Well, nurses at a major hospital over on the west side of the state are preparing to strike. 1,300 people will walk off of Providence Regional Medical Center in Everett Thursday if management does not meet their demands for better working conditions and adequate pay. And those nurses, not the only ones. School for the Portland Public School District was canceled today as their strike entered its 2nd week. Now day camps have popped up across the city, similar to summer camps, to help ease the load for parents who rely on school for childcare. Teachers are fighting for better pay and smaller class sizes. And that was your KREM 2 News 10 at 10, where you get more news in less time. Don't go